He joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999, and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those jurors.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's involvement.
And I said, Puffy shot me in my face. This man testified. I testified in the criminal trial. This man testified in the criminal trial. People are like, why didn't she speak up then? Why is she saying something now? She want clout. Are you dumb?
J-Lo is just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Well, she deserves it. She's one of the flyest out there.
Yeah, well, she thinks that of you too. She named you one of the great loves of her life.
Yeah,
Was she one of yours too?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Y'all, we gotta talk about the most shocking thing to happen in Hollywood in years. You won't believe what's going down right now. A judge has just issued an arrest warrant for none other than Jennifer Lopez. And it all started with Ben Affleck's explosive testimony in Diddy's case. Yeah, you heard me right. Ben Affleck, the same Ben that once had the world in a chokehold with his relationship with J-Lo, has now flipped the script on her. But let's back up a second. It all goes down to the Diddy trial, right? And now, because of his testimony, Jennifer Lopez is right in the middle of the mess. A lot of people are wondering what the hell Ben knows, and if this is the end for J-Lo as we know it. People are talking, and it's getting messy. Diddy has been in and out of court for a bunch of serious charges. But the real twist? Now, it's J-Lo who's catching the heat, and she might not be able to dodge this one. What we know right now is this. Ben was called to testify about his knowledge of Diddy's past, and apparently, some of the details he shared were way more than anyone expected. He's talking about things that have never been publicly addressed before. Things that could finally bring the curtain down on J-Lo's perfectly curated public image. And if you think this is just about Ben talking about his past with J-Lo and Diddy, you're wrong. This isn't just some Hollywood gossip. Ben's testimony is officially pulling J-Lo into the mess that's been swirling around Diddy's life. You're probably asking, how did we get here? Well, it's been building up for years. These two, Diddy and J-Lo, they've got history. A messy history. And y'all, let me tell you, when Ben Affleck took that stand, he didn't just drop a couple of casual comments about his ex-wife and her famous ex. Nah, he straight up lit a fuse under everything. People thought this trial was going to be about Diddy. They thought we were just going to hear about Diddy's dirty laundry, all his legal issues, and how deep his troubles really run. But now, it's not just Diddy that's in the hot seat, it's J-Lo too. And the craziest part? She's been caught in a way that nobody ever saw coming. Let's pause and think about this for a minute. Ben Affleck, a man who's publicly distanced himself from the drama of his past relationships, suddenly finds himself in a courtroom, revealing details that no one could have predicted. And as soon as he started speaking, it was clear. This wasn't just about rehashing old flames or opening up wounds. Ben knew things that could break the internet. And with those words, J-Lo was dragged back into the spotlight. And not in the way she ever expected. Ben's testimony is shaking the very foundations of everything we thought we knew about Hollywood's golden couple. For years, Jennifer Lopez has been one of the most untouchable figures in entertainment. Always on top, always perfect, always in control of her image. But all it took was one simple twist in Ben's testimony to start unraveling that illusion. You know how we always talk about how nothing's ever what it seems in Hollywood? Well, this is the moment where we're starting to see just how true that is. Everything Jennifer Lopez has worked to protect, from her pristine public image to her carefully curated reputation, is now in jeopardy. And it's not just because of Diddy. It's because of the details Ben just laid out in that courtroom. Details that are now spilling over into the public eye. What Ben exposed isn't just Hollywood gossip or celebrity drama. No, this is something deeper. This is about a cover-up that's been hidden for years. This is about a history between J-Lo and Diddy that's been buried. And that's about to come back to haunt both of them. And you know what's wild? Ben's not even the only one spilling tea right now. The whole situation has the feds involved, and sources are saying that they've been quietly building a case for months. The authorities have been working behind the scenes, gathering evidence that could connect J-Lo directly to Diddy's mess. So, while people are focusing on the courtroom drama and wondering what's going to happen with Diddy, the real question is this: how deep is J-Lo really involved? You've got to ask yourself, how did we get here? How did this perfect, almost untouchable star, Jennifer Lopez, get caught up in a scandal that could tear apart everything she's built? It goes back to the history between her and Diddy, the same history that Ben Affleck, despite all the time that's passed, still knows way too much about. It's not just a messy love triangle anymore. This is about secrets that have been buried for over 2 decades. Secrets that, if they come to light, could end Jennifer Lopez's career as we know it. And this isn't some small, low-level Hollywood drama. This is the kind of thing that could destroy everything. Her brand, her music career, her acting career, hell, even her personal relationships could all be caught up in the whirlwind that's forming right now. And let's be clear, this is what makes this so messy. Because as much as we want to think about this as just another tabloid story, the reality is that J-Lo is facing some serious heat right now. The kind of heat that can't be ignored. The kind of heat that could finally bring down the curtain on her picture-perfect image and reveal the truth behind the woman we all thought we knew. So, how did she get here? It's about time we start talking about the past. About the history between Diddy, J-Lo, and everyone involved. This isn't just a one-off incident. This is years of tangled relationships, shady deals, and a level of secrecy that's just now coming to the surface. Alright, now that we've established how Ben Affleck's explosive testimony has dragged J-Lo right into the mess, it's time to talk about how we got here. This isn't just some random courtroom drama, it's about a history that goes back years, and it all starts with that infamous nightclub shooting in 1999. Now, y'all know the story. Jennifer Lopez and Diddy were the golden couple at the time, absolutely unstoppable. They were the ones the tabloids couldn't get enough of. Every red carpet they stepped on, every event they attended, it was like the world was watching a real-life fairy tale. But unfortunately, that fairy tale was about to take a dark turn. It all went down in a nightclub in New York City. The night started out like any other, glamorous, full of music and excitement. But then, gunshots rang out and everything changed. Several people were injured, including Natanya Rubin, who was struck in the face by a bullet. The chaos of that night was something no one could have predicted, and it quickly became a media frenzy. The question everyone was asking, who did this? And that's where things started to get messy for J-Lo and Diddy. After the shooting, Diddy and J-Lo were both right there, in the middle of it all. They were among the first to flee the scene, and despite the serious charges against Diddy, they both played the role of the untouchable couple, at least for a while. J-Lo was questioned by the police, but ultimately, she was released. Diddy, on the other hand, was detained and faced serious charges. But somehow, he and his bodyguard were both released. And it all came down to one key factor: Jennifer Lopez's testimony. Now, this is where things start to get suspicious. According to J-Lo, Diddy wasn't involved in the shooting. He didn't have a gun. He wasn't even close to the incident. And J-Lo was adamant about it. She stood by him and testified in court, saying that neither Diddy nor his bodyguard had anything to do with the shooting. Now, why would she do that? Why would she be so sure when there were multiple witnesses who reported differently? Here's the truth. There's a lot of holes in J-Lo's version of events. Several witnesses have claimed that they saw both Diddy and J-Lo fleeing the scene together. But that's not all. There's also been talk that J-Lo wasn't just a witness to the crime. She might have been actively involved in the cover-up. Could she have lied under oath to protect Diddy? Was she trying to shield her own career by keeping everything quiet? And as crazy as this sounds, the story only gets crazier. There have been rumors for years that Jennifer Lopez wasn't just a passive bystander in the whole thing. She might have been an active participant in helping Diddy avoid the consequences of his actions. There are reports that Jennifer was the one who sneaked the weapon inside the club and handed it to Diddy, which directly makes her, as well as Combs, guilty. Some insiders have even suggested that she helped frame Shine, the rapper who took the fall for the shooting. Remember, Shine spent 9 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And guess what? He's finally speaking out about the cover-up. Shine's claims are jaw-dropping. He says that Diddy, along with others, including possibly J-Lo, planted the story that he was the one who fired the shots that night. And the craziest part? He says that the people involved in the cover-up were part of a larger scheme to protect the powerful people involved. People like Diddy and J-Lo. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, how is this even possible? But think about it. Diddy is a mogul. He's got money, power, and influence. In Hollywood, if you've got the right connections, you can make things disappear. And J-Lo? She was a rising star at the time. If this scandal had blown up, it could have destroyed everything she worked for. So, what if she made a choice? What if, in an effort to protect her relationship with Diddy and her career, she lied to the authorities and helped cover up the truth? Let's break this down even further. Diddy isn't just another celebrity caught up in a scandal. He's a mogul with an empire to protect. And we know from the past that he's used his connections to control the narrative. He's always been skilled at making sure the public doesn't know the full story. But what if this time things were different? What if the truth about what happened that night is about to come to light? And now, with Ben Affleck's testimony and the feds stepping in, we're starting to see just how deep this web of lies and cover-ups really goes. The past is coming back to haunt both Diddy and J-Lo, and the world is starting to take a closer look at their history together. The crazy part is, we still don't know everything. The investigation is still ongoing, and there's a real chance that more people could be dragged into this mess as the truth unravels. But one thing's for sure, J-Lo's perfect image is starting to crack, and it's only a matter of time before everything she's worked for begins to collapse. Alright, now that we've seen how J-Lo got involved in the Diddy scandal and how the feds are getting closer to the truth, let's shift gears a bit. Because if you've been paying attention, you'll notice something else that's going on with Jennifer Lopez right now. Something that's not just about her legal troubles, but about her public image. Y'all, the woman who once seemed like the definition of perfection is struggling to keep it all together. Recently, Jennifer Lopez made headlines for something that was supposed to be about her talent and her performance skills. But instead, it became the latest chapter in her desperate attempt to stay relevant. We all know J-Lo loves to make a statement, but this time, she might have taken things a little too far. At the 2025 American Music Awards, Jennifer Lopez hit the stage with a performance that was supposed to wow the audience. But instead, she ended up doing something that raised more than a few eyebrows. Mid-performance, in front of millions of people, J-Lo kissed two dancers, one male, one female. And honestly, the crowd was shocked. Now, on the surface, you could say it was just another performance move. A little bit of showmanship to get people talking. But here's the thing. When you've been around as long as J-Lo, and when you've been through as many scandals and breakups as she has, people start to see these things for what they really are. And in this case, what we're seeing is desperation. Let's break this down. J-Lo's been in the spotlight for years. She's built an empire on being the hottest woman in Hollywood. Her image has always been carefully crafted. Perfect hair, flawless skin, and that iconic figure. She's known for her powerful performances, her acting chops, and her relationships. But lately, things aren't looking as perfect as they used to. You saw how her This Is Me Now documentary flopped, right? That documentary was supposed to be J-Lo's big chance to tell her story, to prove to the world that she was more than just a headline. But instead of a masterpiece, it was a public failure. And when that documentary didn't live up to expectations, the cracks in her carefully constructed image became more noticeable. Fans started to wonder, is the magic fading? Now, let's talk about that kiss at the AMAs. Was it just a performance decision? Was it to get the crowd riled up? Or was it something more? A last-ditch effort to prove to the world that J-Lo is still the star she once was? Here's the truth. It's desperation, plain and simple. For someone who's spent her career at the top, staying relevant in a world that's constantly moving forward is no easy task. And J-Lo, it seems, is scrambling to keep her place in the spotlight. Think about it. She's been through her share of ups and downs in her personal life. Marriages, breakups, and reunions. And every time her relationships change, she's back in the public eye. But this time, it feels different. This time, her relationship with Ben Affleck, the one everyone thought would be her fairy tale ending, is falling apart. In 2025, Ben filed for divorce. And suddenly, J-Lo finds herself trying to maintain this perfect life while the truth starts to come out about her past. And then, just when you think things couldn't get messier, there's that kiss. The kiss wasn't just a random performance stunt, it was a statement. It was a way for J-Lo to remind the world that she still got it. But here's the thing, it backfired. People didn't just see a kiss, they saw a woman desperate to remind us that she's still the same sex symbol, the same diva who's been on top for decades. But the problem with stunts like this is that they never work. Sure, it got people talking for a minute, but instead of seeing a superstar, the world saw a woman who was clinging to something that's slipping through her fingers. People started to see J.Lo not as the untouchable diva, but as someone who's fighting to stay relevant. And honestly, that's not the image she's worked so hard to build. Let's pause and really think about this for a second. J.Lo has always been someone who's controlled her image. She's built a career off of being the perfect package. Talented, beautiful, and adored by millions. But now, the cracks in her armor are more visible than ever. She's afraid of becoming irrelevant, and the desperate attempt to prove that she's still a force to be reckoned with has only exposed her vulnerability. Instead of thinking, wow, J.Lo still got it, people started asking, why is she doing this now? People are questioning everything. Why would J.Lo, a married woman, kiss 2 dancers on stage in front of millions? Was it part of some larger strategy to make her seem untouchable again? Or was it just a desperate ploy to keep her name in the headlines? J.Lo's entire career has been tied to her relationships, her public persona, and her ability to stay relevant. But now, after years of carefully curating an image, it seems like her efforts might be catching up with her. The question is, can she keep this up? Can she maintain this persona that's starting to crumble under the weight of her scandals, failed projects, and legal troubles? Or will the truth finally take her down? The kiss at the AMAs wasn't just about performance. It was a cry for help from a woman who's realizing her perfect image isn't enough anymore. And the problem is, the more she tries to hold on to that image, the more the world sees the cracks underneath.
You know, another fun moment, you kissing all those people on that opening number?
I know.
Are we kicking off a hot J.Lo summer?
I knew exactly what I was doing. I felt good. I just want to enjoy it.
All right, now that we've discussed how J.Lo is struggling to maintain her image, let's dive deeper into the roots of her troubles. This isn't just about desperate performance stunts or public kisses. This is about the dark past she's been trying to bury for years. And it's all connected to Diddy, the man who's been intertwined with her life and career in ways that the public didn't fully understand until now. Let's go back to the 1999 nightclub shooting, the event that kicked off this entire mess. Diddy and J.Lo were living the dream. They were the power couple, making waves in Hollywood, walking red carpets, and owning the scene. But behind the glitz and glam, something far darker was brewing. The shooting that night wasn't just some random act of violence. It set off a chain of events that would haunt both Diddy and J.Lo for years to come. Now, we've talked about J.Lo's testimony in the aftermath of the shooting. She claimed that neither Diddy nor his bodyguard had a gun and that they were both innocent. But let's be real, that's where things start to look suspicious. Why would she lie? Why would she make such an absolute statement that has been widely questioned by witnesses and investigators? It's almost as if she was too sure of herself. Some insiders are now saying that J.Lo wasn't just a witness. She was an active participant in the cover-up. She wasn't just testifying to protect Diddy's reputation. She was protecting her own career, her future. Let's face it, being associated with someone like Diddy, especially when criminal activity is involved, could have destroyed her reputation in Hollywood. So, was this about loyalty? Or was it about self-preservation? And if you dig deeper into the shady details surrounding that night, you'll see that Diddy and J.Lo's connection wasn't just about love and romance. It was about secrecy and power. In Hollywood, when you have that kind of influence, you can make things disappear. And that's exactly what they tried to do. But what if J.Lo was more involved in the cover-up than anyone realized? Here's where things get even darker. Some reports claim that J.Lo wasn't just lying to protect Diddy's reputation. She might have been involved in framing Shine for the shooting. For those who don't remember, Shine was the rapper who spent 9 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He's now speaking out, claiming that Diddy and J.Lo had a hand in setting him up, making him the fall guy. And let's not forget, Shine's been adamant about the fact that he never fired a shot that night. Now, Shine's testimony is key to this whole investigation. He's claiming that Diddy used his influence to not only get him convicted, but to manipulate witnesses and bury the truth. And here's the kicker. J.Lo's name is coming up in his story. She may not have fired the gun, but insiders believe she was actively involved in framing him. Did she protect Diddy to protect herself? Was she really just an innocent bystander? Or was she in on the scheme the whole time? And this isn't just about one incident, it's about a pattern. Diddy has a history of using his power and money to control the narrative. From his music empire to his personal life, he's always made sure that what the public sees is what he wants them to see. And J.Lo? She's always been by his side, making sure the world only got a glimpse of the version of events they wanted to show. This wasn't just about being a supportive girlfriend. This was about protection. Protection of their images, their careers, and their empire. But as the truth begins to emerge, it's clear that the perfect picture J.Lo and Diddy painted is starting to crack. The feds are digging into their history together, and as they connect the dots, it's looking more and more like Jennifer Lopez was far from just a witness to Diddy's legal drama. She was a major player in it. Now, let's talk about why all of this matters today. In 2025, Jennifer Lopez is still one of the biggest stars in the world. But with Ben Affleck's testimony dragging her back into the public eye, along with the feds reopening old investigations, the walls are closing in. The things J.Lo's been trying to keep buried for years are finally coming to light. And the more the public knows, the more damage it's doing to her reputation. This isn't just about Hollywood gossip anymore. It's about a real, deep scandal that could shatter everything she's worked for. The Diddy connection is more than just a past relationship. It's a part of J.Lo's darkest secrets. And now that the world is starting to see those secrets, J.Lo's perfect world is falling apart. So now that we've broken down the Diddy connection, the shady past, and the desperate stunts J.Lo's been pulling to stay relevant, let's talk about the real question that's on everyone's mind. Can Jennifer Lopez escape the consequences of all this? Y'all, J.Lo has built a career on being untouchable. She's been the queen of Hollywood, the one who seems to glide above the drama, the one everyone looks to for the perfect love story, the flawless performances, and the never-aging beauty. But now it's like the world is starting to see behind the curtain. The secrets, the lies, and the shady dealings are coming to light, and it's becoming harder for her to keep up that perfect image. Let's get one thing clear. J.Lo is not innocent in all of this. She spent years carefully crafting her public persona. But now, thanks to Ben Affleck's testimony, the feds, and the media, the real story is starting to emerge. She was there when the nightclub shooting happened. She was there when Diddy faced the heat. And she was there when things went down that she could have stopped. But instead, she chose to play the role of the supportive girlfriend, protecting her career and her relationship, and keeping the public in the dark about what really went down that night. But the reality is, the past is coming back to haunt her. Every secret she's tried to bury is surfacing. The feds are involved, and they're digging deep into Diddy's activities and the people around him, especially Jennifer Lopez. And while she's tried to avoid taking responsibility, the walls are starting to close in on her. She can't escape the truth forever. So what does that mean for J.Lo's future? The stakes have never been higher. If these investigations continue to connect her to Diddy's criminal activities, and if the feds can prove she lied under oath or was complicit in covering up the shooting, she's looking at some serious consequences. Legal trouble, career backlash, and public humiliation. Everything she's worked so hard to build could come crashing down. And the question becomes, is she ready to face it? Here's the thing, J.Lo's not new to controversy. She's been in the public eye for decades, and every time she's been in trouble, she's managed to wiggle her way out of it. She's done it with her image, with her star power, and with her influence. But now, the stakes are different. She's not just dodging a PR nightmare, she's dodging federal investigation. This time, she's up against something bigger than Hollywood drama. And you know what's even crazier? Ben Affleck. The man who's been her greatest love, her biggest supporter, and her partner through it all is now in the middle of this. And after his testimony, it seems like Ben might be done with J.Lo for good. The once perfect love story between the two of them is falling apart. And it's not just because of the public spotlight, it's because of J.Lo's past with Diddy. Could Ben's testimony be the final straw for their relationship? Is he ready to walk away from this train wreck? Because at this point, it seems like Ben's not willing to stand by J.Lo anymore. The truth is, he knew about her past with Diddy. But now that the secrets are coming out, is he willing to stick around? Or is this the moment when he finally realizes that he can't be part of the mess J.Lo has been hiding? And the most chilling part of all this? J.Lo's career. For years, she's been the queen of Hollywood, always in control of her narrative. But with the feds investigating, Ben moving on, and the public starting to see the cracks in her image, can she recover? Can she rebuild after all of this? Or is this the moment when J.Lo's perfect world falls apart for good? Because let's be honest here, J.Lo has been able to manipulate the media and control her image for a long time. But now, the truth is breaking free. The secrets are getting harder to hide, and people are starting to question everything they thought they knew about her. The once untouchable star? She's not untouchable anymore. She's vulnerable. And with everything that's been exposed, her world might never be the same.
Did you see Tiffany Haddish wants to go manhunting with you tonight?
She said that to me. I said, girl, I'm not looking for no man. I'm happy right now. I'm not trying to ruin it, okay?
So now we're at the point where everything's come full circle. JLo's perfect world is crashing down around her, and there's no more hiding from the truth. The question that's been on everyone's mind is finally here. Is this the end for Jennifer Lopez? The writing is on the wall. The FBI's investigation is heating up. And Ben Affleck's testimony has pulled back the curtain on a world of secrets and cover-ups that have been hidden for decades. The woman who defined perfection for Hollywood is starting to show the cracks. And let's face it, these cracks are wide enough for the truth to slip through. What we're seeing now is bigger than just a legal issue. It's not just about a courtroom drama or a scandal in Hollywood. No, this is about the very foundation of her career, her relationships, and her public image. This is about whether Jennifer Lopez can maintain the empire she's built, or whether the truth, the dark truth about her past, will finally tear it all apart. JLo has spent years building this image of the perfect woman. Impossibly talented, beautiful, and beloved by everyone. She's a global icon, a woman who's been praised for her music, her acting, and yes, her relationships. But now, the walls are coming down. With Ben's testimony, with the feds digging into her past, and with her desperate attempts to stay relevant, it's getting harder for JLo to keep the charade going. The question is, can she bounce back? There's a huge difference between public opinion and the kind of damage that a federal investigation can do. And while JLo might have survived negative press in the past, remember the entanglement scandal with A-Rod? Or her high-profile relationships? This is on a whole new level. The public's not just questioning her love life anymore. They're questioning her integrity, her role in a criminal cover-up, and her loyalty to a man who's now at the center of the investigation, Diddy. Now, don't get me wrong, JLo is still a force to be reckoned with. She's got the looks, the talent, and the charisma to win back the public's favor. But here's the problem. What happens when the truth about your past is so damaging that it can't be hidden anymore? What happens when people start to wonder just how much you were involved in a scandal that could destroy someone else's life? The public has a long memory, and once the truth about her past with Diddy is out, it's going to be impossible for JLo to put the genie back in the bottle. Then there's her relationship with Ben Affleck. After his testimony and the public fallout, it's clear that Ben has seen enough, and he's done with all the drama. Now, let's pause here. Ben Affleck is no stranger to Hollywood's mess. He's seen the tabloids, the scandals, and the ups and downs of fame. But even someone as seasoned as him knows when to cut ties. JLo might have thought she could keep her personal life under control, but when Ben's publicly called to testify about everything that went down with Diddy, it becomes a lot harder for her to keep that picture-perfect image intact. And let's face it, Ben's not sticking around for this. It's hard to imagine a world where Ben and JLo aren't a thing anymore. They've been through so much together. But after everything that's been exposed, Ben is done. He's walking away, and that's something that will be hard for JLo to recover from. How do you rebuild your reputation when the one person who knows you the best turns his back on you? The truth is, Ben's departure might be the final nail in the coffin for her perfect life. So where does that leave JLo? Can she survive this? The answer is simple. Maybe. Maybe she'll survive the legal fallout, maybe she'll manage to rebuild some semblance of a career. But let's be real. The curtain's been pulled back, and the truth has come to light. She'll always be a star, but the shine is starting to fade, and no amount of performances or desperate stunts can hide that. In the end, Jennifer Lopez's story might not be over, but it's certainly entering a new chapter, and it's one where the cracks are too big to ignore. The Diddy scandal, the federal investigation, and the fallout from Ben's testimony have put her in a position where there's no turning back. Her future is uncertain, her relationships are in jeopardy, and the world's view of her will never be the same. So here we are. The end of the road for the old JLo, the one we knew and loved. What happens next is up to her. But one thing's for sure, nothing will ever be the same again. What are your thoughts on all of this? Do you think JLo deserves jail time for all of the alleged crimes? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this hot tea, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you can be informed if there's any new development in this messed up case. In the meantime, you can watch some of the other updates related to the Diddy case, or what JLo said about Diddy in court on the screen. As always, thank you for tuning in to Goja Gossip.